and it's this Kiwis versus the rest of the world game, and we had that for a couple of seasons in a row, and they had to do away with it in the end because they always end up in a big punch-up. And guys weren't happy. I think there was a few of the niggles over the year that finally managed to come out, and the games were taken. It was taken quite seriously at the time. Yeah, it was quite funny. We had a number of coaches through the 80s and 90s, and obviously George Douglas, he was there to start with. Andy Toddy, he became a coach. Dave Bonao, a fellow Alan McMullen, he came over. He was an ex-services guy. He came over from the eastern states. Tough as nails. We were so low on players this year, and he was 40 odd years old, and played some really good rugby in his days. And but through the season we copped some horrible injuries and that as well, to the stage where in the end he said, "Bugger it," he said, "I'm going to have to play myself." And here's Alan McMullen at 40 plus years old, put himself in and played coach, played the game, and he got injured through the game, but carried on and thought it was all right. At the end of the game he was so sore, he takes himself, got taken off to the hospital, and he broke his leg. So he finished the game. This is how tough this bastard was. But yeah, we had a terrible year that year. I think we finished last. I think that was the worst we ever finished. But yeah, we scrapped ourselves back from there. As I was saying, they were hard days after Alan Nellis, Cookie coach, Bevan Ethel, Warwick Allen, and then.
What years are we talking about here? There's
we're just
a
talking
90s.
very late 80s. Till I think when Snow took over the coaching, Snow Smolenski took over the coaching. Then it was I think it was in 89 or 90, something like that.
Yep.
And Snow, he was a terrific player and good exponent of the game, and he had such good understanding of the game. And when he came in to coach, which he had to because he couldn't play anymore, when he came in to coach, he took it so seriously. He'd turn up on Tuesday at training, and he would have like 3 or 4 foolscap pages written down, and we'd sit in the change rooms on Tuesday, and he'd go through the whole thing. It was a full analysis of not only the game that we'd just played the week before, of the team that we were going to play, working out exactly where their strengths and weaknesses were, the tactics that we were going to play and how we were going to get all in and around it, and individual requirements of each player as it went on. And I tell you what, he was so thorough with it, and it was an enjoyable, very enjoyable place to be. In that team, and everyone gelled, and it was we had a few seasons together there with Snow and the guys where that was just the most terrific rugby we played. It was wicked rugby, and yeah, leading up to we had a grand final in 1994, which we lost narrowly, but. That was the only grand final I played in, and we didn't win one. Thankfully, the boys went on to win one later on, and which was a good thing. There were many other players, wives, girlfriends, supporters over the years. There was a threesome of brothers that came in here, the Rumble brothers. They were bloody characters. The 2 boys, Phil and Tony, both played. I think Tony's been interviewed as one of these interviews. Great players, and then their young brother Squirt, he came and he was a great manager that we had for our team, and Squirt could organise just about anything. But Yeah, but it was great seeing just this frequent turnover of people that were coming through the door, and so many people putting their hands up to help out along the way. The likes of the O'Neills, Juliet and Mike O'Neill, the Brett and Vicky Allison, who were good members of they'd started up the social committee. We never really had a social committee that was run properly. And Brett and Vicky had this idea and came in that, right, this will get a good thing going. And Juliet O'Neill ended up taking it on, I think, after them. But a thing that Brett and Vicky brought in, they said, we're going to organise this electric chair. And we were going, all right, what's this electric chair? And we turned up this one Saturday evening, and here it is a proper barber's chair. And I think they picked it up from Toddy's shop. But that had it all reupholstered and done all up. And it probably had a little pump up and everything, and then it would flick back. And Brett and Vicky are in charge of this chair, and they go, right, we're selling tickets for an electric chair. Right, what's it going? They said, well, you got to get up here, we've got to do some shooters. And it was tequila and lime juice shooters. And so you go and buy tickets at the bar, and you go back to things, and it was purely for fundraising. And you go and buy some tickets and just get in this chair. Brett would flick you back. If the tequila would run down the thing, they'd pour it into the mouth, and then do the thing. Well, the person that owned the record for the highest number of the tequila slammers in the electric chair was Kaz Maletsky. And I think the number that she drank that night was something like 32. And it was never to be beaten. It was never to be beaten. But social nights, that's social committee, as it developed over the years, it was so instrumental in making sure that there were high quality social nights organised in the club. And you quite often see the likes of Jimmy Berry up on a microphone ripping out some Cold Chisel song. His most favourite one was K-San. And Jimmy, he was a legend when it came down to getting up there and ripping off old Cold Chisel. It was really good.
Well, he was in a band too, wasn't he?
Yeah, for sure, he was. Yeah. Other volunteers through the club were Barry and Marcy Farquharson. Managerial and physio roles of the pair of them. Leslie, she was a great physio. We had in the team for years. She was in there, along with Fred Thompson, Fred and Leslie. They did the physio together there for a long time. Roy Paul was forever volunteering and helping out all around the place. They were terrific girls and volunteers that we could have. A club couldn't ask for better, and we were pretty spoiled at the time. And we had this constant revolving door of Kiwis that were coming in and out of the club over the years, and there was always, it normally ended up with Toddy's problem of how the hell he was going to house us. Some years there'd be 12 Kiwis turning up. And how the hell are we going to find places for these guys to live? And it got sort of worked out for a place and a couple of real estate agents that we get hold of these couple of rentals. And next thing you know, there's one place I lived in, there's 11 of us lived in there. And there's a few others that were different houses over the years. And these places, they ended up being called the pits.
And everyone in these places played rugby here?
Every one of the people that lived in those houses played rugby here. Yeah. And hence there was quite a turnaround of rental places because guys, we didn't last there too much longer than a season. We had to get kicked out. They were hard to keep clean. Right. It was hard to, and our place, as often others as well, were always used as the party houses after the club was shut or if we played an away game.
Yeah. And
I know at our place we had a constant thing on with the pub. The High Wycombe pub was our sponsor at the time, and our place was in High Wycombe. in Maidavale, and we just go down. We kept the temp right and the gas bottles, and all we used to do is take back the keg and change the keg over. Yeah, and everyone would just pay $5 at the doors. They came in and paid for the beers, and it was all good. But they were houses out of control, and
I can well imagine.
I doubt it doesn't happen these days. It doesn't happen. But the thing with the sponsors, all the major sponsors of the club in those years were pubs, and they were all the local pubs. Started out when I first came over, early 80s, it was the old Forestfield Tavern, which is now shut. When the Pine Creek Tavern first opened, we all went down there en masse thinking this is going to be a great thing. We're going to end up with the most massive blue that just ended up out the door, and the police were called, and everyone that was, I think it was all of us rugby guys versus footy guys versus hockey guys versus whoever. It was a massive big ball. But yeah, that was quite funny. But the pub were really good. They still became our major sponsors for that year, and plus asked us to supply guys to go back and be bouncers working on their doors, which we did.
Yep.
And the Kalamunda Hotel was very similar. They had one of the owners of the pub up there, who was an ex-Pommy boxer. And he used to love just boxing people out of the pub anyway, but he loved having a few of the Kalamunda boys on the door to back him up. I'm trying to remember his name, but lots of boys were watching, I remember, I'm sure. Quite a few presidents, a few through the time. When I first came in, Jimmy Rose was president, there was Ken Thomas, Terry Wilkinson, Andy Todd, George Paul. George Paul, he was a great president. He had the players at heart, and then we ended up with a guy, Dennis O'Regan. Dennis was such a character. He was kind of he was an interestingly private man. You didn't really know what Dennis would get up to, and but he could organise anything. And this was the time when we were making finals and playing good rugby. Snow was coaching. We'd on a Sunday we had to go down to play a game down at Perry Lakes. Dennis had always organised us to stop somewhere, be it a pub in Subiaco or pub somewhere. They'd put on the lunch thing. It was just a nice light lunch, but it was all paid for, it was all taken care of, and all the thing, and the transport and all the rest of it. And Dennis was in charge of all that sort of stuff. And he was we always knew he was up to some shady type of deals, but he was good. And unfortunately, he passed away, well before his time. And we were privileged enough at the time of his funeral and just afterwards to meet a really good mate of his from. Dennis was brought up over east and unbelievably loved surfing. And him and this mate, a surfy mate who came over here, they'd made this pact together one day when they were all out young surfing, carrying on. Right, first one to die, and they both all played rugby as well. They said the first one to die though, they're going to get cremated, and then we're going to piss on their ashes.
Okay.
So Dennis passed away and was cremated. And of course, this mate's come back for. To spread the ashes. So he was there at the funeral, and he came back afterwards and got Dennis's ashes, and he's gone right. And we'd had Thursday night training, and we all come out after training and come in there, and he's had a little speech about Dennis, and he's gone right. Well, this is the speech we've made. This is the pact that we made, and he said we're going to take him out now. So we took Dennis's ashes out. We took them out under the end of the goalpost down at the